The 2023 NFL Draft is right around the corner, and our Dynasty rookie drafts aren't too far behind. So let me present to you the top 50 rookies for fantasy football. We'll count down from 50 all the way to number 1. If you're looking for a deeper dive on these players, I've been pumping out rookie profile videos every single week since January. So check those out, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments. Here we go, the 2023 top 50 rookies for Dynasty. We kick off the top 50 countdown with number 50. It's Cameron Peoples, running back, Appalachian State. Cameron Peoples is an upright runner who runs with good power and patience but lacks any elite athletic traits. He's not particularly fast or explosive, and his lateral agility leaves much to be desired as well. With just 11 career receptions and 5 years at Appalachian State, it's safe to say Cameron Peoples won't bring much value on passing downs. What he can bring to the table, though, is a solid depth piece in a backfield looking to add another big-bodied runner. He projects best to his zone blocking scheme. His best chance of becoming fantasy relevant is a rash of injuries ahead of him that thrust him into a short-term starting job. Coming in at number 49 is Oklahoma running back Eric Gray. Eric Gray is an all-purpose running back who may not have elite speed or size, but he has enough tools to be productive at the NFL level. He's a decisive runner with elite lateral agility, great vision, and a variety of moves to make anyone miss in the open field. His soft hands and receiving skills will make him a true 3-down threat. Prior to his pro day, Eric Gray was looking like a top 24 player in Dynasty. However, after running in the 4.6s at under 210 pounds, he barely cracks the top 50. And because of that, I won't be touching Eric Gray anywhere near his current ADP. At number 48, we have Tucker KRAFT, a tight end out of South Dakota State. Tucker KRAFT is a versatile tight end who can play inline or split out in the slot. He's a quality blocker with size, strength, and athleticism. As a pass catcher, Tucker KRAFT utilizes his size well to get physical before and after the catch. His route running can use some refinement for the next level, but there's little reason to think he can't improve. Tucker KRAFT will be a priority target on draft weekend for teams who play a lot of 2 tight end sets and want to utilize his versatility. Number 47 is Cincinnati wide receiver Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker is a dynamic athlete with the speed, explosion, and elite quickness to be a playmaking threat. However, his offensive production in 4 seasons at Cincinnati did not line up with his athletic traits. He never commanded a significant share of the passing offense, and despite his elite athleticism, never managed to average more than 13 yards per reception in a season. Instead, he benefited from a lot of schemed touches on screen passes and free releases from the slot in a spread offense. Where Trey Tucker will surely add value in the NFL, though, is on special teams as both a returner and a key member on coverage units. On the offensive side, he will need to find a team that lets him play to his strengths and is willing to scheme up opportunities to get him in space. For fantasy football, Trey Tucker is a dart throw in the 4th round of rookie drafts, betting purely on his athleticism with the hopes that he can do more in the NFL than he did at the college level. 46 is BYU wide receiver PUKA NACUA. PUKA NACUA is a big, physical outside receiver. He's not the best route runner, the best separator, or particularly explosive off the line. Instead, he uses his big frame, his strength, and ability to out-leap defenders to create a target for his quarterback and dominate in contested situations. His route tree consists of mostly vertical patterns that allow him to play to his strengths. He looks a bit stiff when he runs, but that didn't stop him from gaining over 300 yards on the ground during his 2 seasons at BYU. But rather than leaning on agility and quickness, PUKA NACUA uses his physicality to eat up yards on rush attempts and run after the catch opportunities. In the NFL, PUKA NACUA projects as an outside receiver who will play both Z and X positions. His speed and toughness could make him a candidate to play on kick coverage units early in his career while he develops his route running and release tactics. 45 is Penn State wide receiver Parker Washington. Parker Washington is a slot receiver who thrives after the catch. For that reason, he was fed a lot of manufactured touches and short passes to take advantage. He's better versus zone coverage as he tends to struggle to separate against tight man coverage. Parker Washington won't beat you with speed or explosiveness either, but his ball skills are excellent. He has the toughness and hand strength to hang on to contested catches. Parker Washington is flying under the radar, but he could find higher draft capital than expected and could become one of the safer choices in the later stages of Dynasty rookie drafts. Number 44 is Will Mallory, the tight end out of Miami. Will Mallory is a move tight end who is 6'5", but a bit undersized as far as weight. He's super athletic and he had enough production at Miami to think he could develop into a starter at the NFL level. 43 gives us our first quarterback of the countdown. It's Hendon Hooker of Tennessee. Hendon Hooker is a 25-year-old quarterback prospect who is coming off a torn ACL. However, prior to the injury, Hendon Hooker was in the conversation as a possible 2022 Heisman Trophy contender. He had the Tennessee offense operating as one of the best units in the nation. Hendon Hooker's efficiency was outstanding with a 69.6% completion rate and nearly 10 yards per attempt. He set school records by throwing 261 passes without an interception and tossing a touchdown in 20 consecutive games, according to NFL.com. Hendon Hooker is a rhythm-based pocket passer, but he does have the athleticism to be a tactical scrambler. He's projected to be an early second-round pick in the NFL draft, but he has gone as high as the top 10 in some mock drafts. Either way, he deserves to be a top 50 pick in single quarterback dynasty rookie drafts and should at least be considered at the end of the first in Superflex. 42 is wide receiver Michael Wilson out of Stanford. It's unfortunate that Michael Wilson's career at Stanford was so plagued by injuries. He was on the verge of breaking out before he was cut down to just 14 games in his last 3 seasons. Based on what we were able to see from him, Michael Wilson projects as a versatile depth wide receiver who can line up at any spot on the field. He uses his size, physical strength, and body control to create separation. He has the athleticism to add value after the catch as well. Michael Wilson could begin his career as a team's core special teamer while he refines his game as a route runner. And that potential value on special teams plus the above average skills as a run blocker should get him drafted in the middle rounds. In Dynasty, he will be a sleeper to watch in the 3rd round of rookie drafts. Tight end Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion is our number 41 ranked player. Zach Kuntz is an athletic freak at 6'7", 255 pounds. Not only did he run in the mid-4.5s, but he tested with elite burst and agility as well. In fact, he scores as the most athletic tight end of all time when adjusted for size, according to PlayerProfiler.com's new athleticism score metric. While the importance of athleticism varies position to position as far as correlating in fantasy football production, it's most important for tight ends. Zach Kuntz had a highly productive season at Old Dominion in 2021 before missing most of 2022 due to injury. He could take some time to develop into his raw talent at the NFL level. At number 40, we have another tight end. It's Sam LAPORTA out of Iowa. Sam LAPORTA is a jack of all trades, master of none. He's a solid receiver, decent route runner, and an okay blocker. However, he has the size, athleticism, and college production to think that he can develop into a starting tight end in the NFL. LAPORTA went over 600 yards receiving in each of his last 2 seasons at Iowa, with a target share over 21% in each of the last 3. He's projected to come off the board in the late 2nd round of the NFL draft, and he's just another tight end worth taking a shot on in the 3rd round of Dynasty rookie drafts. At number 39, we have Charlie Jones. Charlie Football from Purdue. Charlie Jones put himself on the radar with a breakout season in 2022 and an equally impressive performance at the NFL Combine. He has some appealing traits like his strong hands, an ability to win in contested situations, and his knack for exploiting zone coverage. His strength is in the quick passing game on routes such as slants and crossers. With that said, Charlie Jones struggles to create consistent separation, especially versus tight man coverage. His lone season of meaningful production in college came during his age 23 season and 5 years after first stepping onto a college campus. There's really no excuse for not being able to produce sooner. It's not like he was playing at Alabama or Ohio State where he was stuck behind world-class wide receiver talent. He couldn't get on the field at Buffalo. He couldn't get on the field at Iowa. Jones's NFL outlook is that of a career special teams ace who will provide depth at the wide receiver position. There's really little reason to consider him in Dynasty rookie drafts. Number 38 brings us Deuce Vaughn, the running back out of Kansas State. Deuce Vaughn has one of the better production profiles among the 2023 running backs. He ran for nearly 3,000 yards over his last 2 seasons at Kansas State while scoring 34 touchdowns. He also caught 91 passes over that span and commanded a target share above 15% in all 3 of his collegiate seasons. But when we consider his 5'5", 179-pound frame, it feels like throwing a giant tub of ice water onto a flame. For Vaughn to be successful in the NFL at that size, he would have to prove to be the outlier of all outliers. The size is going to affect his draft capital, it's going to affect his touch distribution, and it's going to affect his durability. It's too bad because he does have a lot of positive traits. Vision, versatility, toughness, elusiveness, receiving skills, etc. He'll be a fun pick at the end of rookie drafts, but it's hard to invest anything more into a guy that really has no realistic comps. Number 37 is Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah. When debating who's the best tight end in the 2023 draft class, Utah's Dalton Kincaid surely needs to be in the conversation. At 6'4", 246 pounds, Dalton Kincaid is a move tight end who has speed, runs good routes, and dominates in contested catch situations. Kincaid can win in all areas of the field, and he has the ball skills of a wide receiver. He will need to improve his blocking and play strength if he's going to become a more well-rounded tight end, but otherwise he's one of the top players at the position in this class. Number 36 is Tank Dell, the wide receiver out of Houston. Tank Dell is an incredibly gifted athlete with all the speed, quickness, explosion, and agility you could ever ask for. He is a playmaker with the ball in his hands, and he has the versatility to become involved in a number of ways. The problem is he's just 5'8", 165 pounds. That is severely undersized. If he becomes a consistent producer in the NFL, he will do so as a major outlier. His impressive contested catch rate is unlikely to translate to the NFL. However, if he is drafted by a team with some creative minds on the offensive staff, he will have a chance to maximize his potential. Dell could become a slot receiver who lines up all over the formation, is put in motion often, and schemed into space to allow his natural run-after-catch abilities to take over. Either way, Tank Dell will be one of the more fun players to watch on Sundays, even if his role doesn't amount to anything that we can rely on in fantasy football. He will likely come off the board on day 2 of the NFL draft, and he will be a stay away in Dynasty rookie drafts if his ADP gets too high. Ole Miss wide receiver Jonathan Mingo comes in as number 35. Jonathan Mingo is a big, strong receiver who wins with size and physical toughness. He struggles to create separation down the field and relies a little bit too much on contested catches. Mingo's production at Ole Miss was underwhelming to say the least, including his breakout 2022 campaign. In the NFL, Jonathan Mingo projects as a big slot receiver who will get on the field in a large part thanks to his willingness and ability to block in the run game. He will also take a few manufactured touches and turn them into positive yardage by running both around and through defenders. Mingo's looking like a late day 2, early day 3 pick in the NFL draft. That's going to push his rookie ADP up even higher. I'm not comfortable taking him there, so I'm probably out. Ranking at number 34 is Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia. Darnell Washington gets a lot of attention for his run blocking to the point where some have suggested he move to offensive tackle. That might be a waste of his full talent profile though, as he's one of the better athletes at the tight end position. Standing at a massive 6'7", 264 pounds, Darnell Washington ran a 4.64 at the NFL Combine. He was moderately productive as a pass catcher at Georgia, which is really all we ask for from these tight ends coming out of college. He can become a versatile playmaker, dominant run blocker, and red zone threat at the NFL level. We're going back-to-back tight ends here. At number 33 is Luke Musgrave out of Oregon State. Luke Musgrave may have the highest ceiling of any of the 2023 tight ends. He's super athletic with great speed and explosion while standing at 6'6", 253 pounds. Luke Musgrave is a good route runner with the versatility to line up in line or as a move tight end in the slot. He comps somewhere between Dawson Knox and Dallas Goedert. Musgrave has a chance to be a late first-round pick in the NFL draft and is one of the top tight ends for Dynasty. Number 32 is CEDRIC TILLMAN, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. CEDRIC TILLMAN is a big-bodied wide receiver who wins with size, strength, and toughness. He out-physicals smaller defenders to the football, using his frame and strong hands to dominate in contested situations. Tillman's game is particularly built around the vertical tree with limited experience on other route concepts. At the NFL level, Tillman will need to focus on developing a wider array of routes, as well as a more well-rounded arsenal of release tactics versus press coverage. While it's easy to get excited about his physical tools, we have to question why he wasn't able to produce earlier in his career. Tillman totaled just 8 receptions over his first 3 years at Tennessee. He didn't break out until he was nearly 21 and a half years old, which is well past the breakout age threshold that we look for. It's honestly a major blemish on his profile. Even so, Tillman projects as a 3rd round pick in the NFL draft to a team that will hope to deploy him as a starting X receiver. In Dynasty, he's a fun sleeper, but we have to be cautious if his rookie draft ADP rises above the 3rd round. Iowa State wide receiver XAVIER Hutchinson is next on the countdown at number 31. XAVIER Hutchinson has both the size and versatility to play both outside and in the slot. His lateral agility and quickness allow him to be a quality route runner as well as a threat after the catch. He may not be a burner, but his size and strong hands make him a reliable target in one-on-one contested situations. Despite starting his college career at the JUCO level, Xavier Hutchinson enters the NFL draft with one of the more productive resumes among the 2023 wide receiver class. He will likely hear his name called in the middle rounds and is atop the list of sleepers to consider in the third round of Dynasty rookie drafts. Cue that Tom Petty, because Kayshon Boutte has been free falling in the Dynasty rankings throughout the pre-draft process, settling in at number 30 here in our countdown. Kayshon Boutte gets up to speed quickly with the ability to change direction on a dime. That makes him incredibly difficult to defend because he's a threat to beat defenses vertically, as well as cut off his routes and win in the short and intermediate areas. Not only that, but Kayshon Boutte made a name for himself with his ability to rack up yards after the catch. He has good hands, though he could improve on catching in traffic. He could also use some work getting off the line better. While his junior season leaves a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth, we have to love Kayshon Boutte's early career production and age 18 breakout. Boutte projects as a starting Z receiver who will also get a lot of work in the slot at the next level. So we look at his production before his junior season, but then we look at his junior season and his NFL Combine performance, and his range of outcomes in the NFL are all over the place. He could be out of the league in 3 years, but he also has the upside to be a team's top possession wide receiver. Number 29, wide receiver out of Cincinnati, Tyler Scott. There is no doubt that Tyler Scott has the athletic traits to develop into a weapon in the NFL. He's exceptionally fast and wastes no time reaching that top speed, and he's an explosive threat before and after the catch. His smaller size limits his catch radius and makes him a little bit vulnerable versus physical cornerbacks and in contested catch situations. While he's a quality route runner, there is room to refine in that area of his game. With that said, Tyler Scott creates consistent separation and is a threat to win on all three levels. Scott projects as a starting Z receiver who's also going to spend some time in the slot as a team's wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. He will bring some versatility to an offense as an option on jet sweeps and screens as well. On draft weekend, Tyler Scott will likely come off the board sometime in the late 3rd round or early 4th. He could even go earlier if a team falls in love with his speed. In Dynasty, Tyler Scott will be one of the best wide receiver options in the 3rd round of your rookie drafts. Northwestern running back Evan Hull comes in at number 28. Evan Hull is a downhill between the tackles grinder. He displays good vision and he has enough power to get the job done in short yardage situations. However, his bread and butter comes in the passing game where he racked up 88 receptions and more than 800 receiving yards over the last 2 seasons. He has good hands and a route package that can be built upon at the next level. With that said, Evan Hull will need to improve in pass protection if he's going to become a reliable option on passing downs. He projects as a day 3 pick in the NFL draft who will start his career as a core special teamer and a rotational running back. For Dynasty, he's a late round sleeper and hopes that he develops into a high-end backup and 3rd down option. Trey Palmer, the wide receiver out of Nebraska, comes in at number 27. It took a long time, but Trey Palmer finally got his shot in 2022. He took full advantage, showing off his speed to consistently win on his routes down the field. And he did so while commanding targets at a high volume. While we have to knock him for not being able to crack the lineup at LSU, we also have to consider the studs that he was playing with. Luckily, he was able to show off his skills in the return game while he waited for his chance. And then he turned his opportunity into a record-setting season at Nebraska and became a legitimate NFL prospect. With his track speed and ability to win vertically, Trey Palmer projects as a field stretcher at the next level. He'll be boxed into that one-dimensional role unless he can develop his route tree, gain more reps on the outside versus physical defenders, and improve his win rate in contested situations. If he can do that though, he will become a complementary weapon who can deliver splash plays. Palmer would be best fit in an offense that relies on chunk plays and vertical passing. He would likely hear his name called sometime in the 3rd, maybe the 4th round of the NFL draft. Number 26 is Zach Evans, the running back out of Ole Miss. Zach Evans was never able to seize the starting role at Ole Miss, but he showed us enough to think that he could be an effective runner at the NFL level. He's a smooth runner with excellent combination of speed, acceleration, and explosion. Zach Evans complements his athletic traits with some flashes of physicality and power as well. He does not possess the receiving skills nor the pass blocking to warrant 3-down usage, however. Instead, Zach Evans projects as a 2-down back who will be best fit in a zone blocking scheme that will allow him to get north and south and into space where he can let his explosiveness get to work. He will likely be a day 2 selection in the NFL draft, and for Dynasty, I'm going to be out unless his ADP comes down considerably. That concludes part 1. Here's a look at where we are in the countdown so far. Look for part 2 tomorrow, where I will reveal the top 25 rookies for Dynasty Fantasy Football.